Hello and welcome back to another Sharknado review, and we call it Shark Fest. Now, we've got lots of other shark movies as well. You'll see those. But we can't keep away from the Sharknado films. And this one, it's Sharknado 3. Oh, hell no.
Nobody has ever flown it through a Sharknado before. I'm as qualified as anyone.
Sharks in space!
Coming up in this episode of Schmat, Shark Fest.
I don't want our first date to be like this! Why are we watching a movie? We need popcorn!
I really hate sharks.
Yeah, you and me both.
Could be worse. Could be zombies.
Nova?
Hey, Finn.
Let's hit it.
Welcome, one and all. And we're back for more, yes, and obviously you are as well because you're here watching this show. But it's not just me. I've got some poor victims joining me. As usual, we've got Neil Stringer, and then we've got Ian, and then we've also got Joe. So, guys, introduce yourself. Start with you, Neil.
Hello, it's Neil here. Happy to be here.
Hi guys, I'm happy to be here. Although I am a bit distracted because in this film a woman actually gives birth in a shark, and I can't get past this. So I don't know how how good I'm going to be on this. I might just keep repeating that because I think you don't understand. But a woman gives birth a shark. Let me tell you, you've seen nothing yet.
We've Ian, of course, is our very special guest, and we've got another even more special guest, Joe. Yeah, it's in his contract that he slipped me. He has to call the very, very extra special guest.
I paid him very well, don't worry.
Because his appearances are less frequent, so that alone makes it more special for him to come to.
And you've got a special mug there. Show it to us again.
I do. Look at that.
And if you're wanting to get hold of one of those, everyone,
I've got that.
You can't.
Mine goes invisible.
These are exclusive for special guests, not for viewers. So and also nobody's going to give us money for anything, so there's no point in it.
Are you sure? Because people have actually paid money for these movies.
That is true. And obviously the movie did have a budget. But we will look into that because obviously we do a little bit of a dive into whatever information we can find online about this. Some of the films, they've got the information there and it's no problem. Some of them you look where you think you would find it and it's not there, and I wonder, are they embarrassed by how much they spent on it, or I'm not quite sure what sources they use to get the information.
Well, I don't know. If they were being embarrassed because they did have 5 sequels to it. So obviously someone's having a field day with these movies.
Yes, well, we know that now,
yeah.
but when they were making them, you kind of think somebody still. To be fair, there's all sorts of entertainment out there. There's the reality TV, and you think to yourself, who wants this? And then we've all got our own guilty pleasure. I mean, Ramsay's Kitchen Nightmares is a reality TV, and I find it hilarious to watch that. There's so many versions of it out there, but with the shark movies, you think, oh well, maybe the shark movies have had their day, and we're sitting here. There's Cocaine Shark, there's Big Shark, Tommy Wiseau, we mentioned before. There's also the Meg 2, the Trench, I think it's called, something like that.
Yeah.
And there may be more. So there's no sign, and we've just kind of come in, on the riding the wave of the shark movies with this series. And basically, there will be probably more Sharknadoes. In fact, I guarantee it, because Hollywood, that was probably one of the last original ideas that they've had, and now they do reboots of things. So who knows? But I mean, in a very, very quick sort of 1 or 2 word summary, Joe, what mood did that film leave you in?
It has left me in quite a uniquely amused state.
Excellent. Neil, what about yourself? Very, very quick, 1 or 2 words. What mood?
Amazed and stunned.
And Ian, I mean, I think I can guess what you're going to say. I think we've already said it, but
Tara Reid gives birth inside a shark.
I would say traumatized. That would be a good one for you. For me, to be honest, if I could sum that movie up, I would just say slightly better than the last one. As in the enjoyment factor of the last one was fun. So I would just say slightly more fun than that, because with these movies, what they're doing now is they're moving beyond the first film. So the second film had the story, was almost a direct sequel to the events of the first film. This one, yes, the first film is still there. You've got the characters coming back and stuff that were in the first movie, but it's not really based along the same plot, apart from the premise of the Sharknadoes themselves. So, but they've taken on themes. The sort of opening of it was a bit like a Bond film. They're moving away from, I would say, a more reality based, because they went into space and everything in this one. And then I know they do go in time, and there's other kind of ideas that they've been using. So it's a bit like when the Muppets started doing Muppets Treasure Island and Christmas Carol. They were playing parts that normally they were just the Muppets, whereas then they were playing characters within the show, all that business. So the way this one is, it's based on Sharknado, but it's pushing the reality of the show beyond, well, as Hasselhoff said in this movie, sharks in space. What more do you want? So with that in mind, when we look at who's in this, we look at who's in all these things. Looking at the main cast to start with, bear in mind they brought in the daughter again, but it's played by a different actress. What do you think of it? What are you thinking of the acting on these?
Tara Reid gives birth in a shark.
To be fair, the baby was very realistic.
Yeah. I think the acting gets more and more turned up to 11 as these sequels go on. I think they realize, what, we're going to get more ridiculous as these movies go on. I think that shows in the acting. You can tell that the actors here returning, know this is going sort of up to 11 and getting more and more ridiculous.
And to be fair, in this film, we've got some, top-notch, guest actors in it. Bo Derek plays April's mother. And David Hasselhoff, of course, plays Finn's father. Now, he is very good at leaning into the cringe. Now, he's a great actor, Hasselhoff, but he knows the market. He knows what way to pitch that role. That it wasn't going to be a Emmy-nominated performance.
But in fairness to him, he certainly wasn't the most ridiculous character in the film. in terms
No.
of what he done.
No.
You know,
We also had Lou Ferrigno there, who, whether you say his acting is great, I mean, he's always great in what he's in, isn't he?
yeah. And of course, he says the lines, "Don't make me angry." Oh, I think his character's called what? David Banner.
Agent Banner.
Agent Banner, yeah.
Agent Banner.
So, what more do you need?
And we had Frankie Muniz, is that how you say his name, from Malcolm in the Middle as well there for a while.
That guy was not having a good day.
No.
He wasn't.
But other people, you know, I'm just going to throw out some of them. You know, Michael Winslow was in there. I don't know if he's actually, it'd be interesting to see if he's in the La Vantula films, which you're going to look at. Because I know a few of the Police Academy, you know, the surviving cast members are in there. We also have our friend Lorenzo Lamas, who we mercifully ridiculed in the Mega Shark review that we did. We call him Steven Seagal wannabe. He's up here for about 2 seconds. He's got a lot more grey and he's got shorter hair. But yeah, I'm just saying, you know, there's quite a few people in there that are proper actors. You know, it's not like some of the ones we've seen where they're just glorified film students. You know, so I just wondered in this particular one, there wasn't, to me, there wasn't the kind of laughable performance in this. It was people who know their craft. Michael Winslow, David Hasselhoff, Bo Derek, they had some great lines, cheesy lines in there. They knew how to play them. It wasn't like some of the films where, you know, like in Swamp Shark, you know, the character of Tyler, who was so over the top, like he wasn't realistic at all. He oversold the performance, you know, to the point where it was actually a caricature character. I think as ridiculous as the things that happen in Sharknado are, the performance is always there. Like he talks about his family, Finn, this is, and you know, they lean in to that whole in the same way sort of Chuck Norris did in his movies. But you know, with that in mind, then Joe, was there any scene in there, a performance, a line someone said that stuck in your mind?
See, I really like it. You know, when you're not expecting someone famous just to come on. For me, I think the funniest one for me was Jerry Springer, because it was just so left field, and the fact that he wanted his photo taken in the Jaws mock-up was just, I thought that was brilliant.
And Nate, what about yourself? Were there any kind of standout lines or, you know, moments in it where you thought, you know, yeah, nice one?
I guess it's just the idea of seeing sharks in space and his chainsaw, and he gets a chainsaw lightsaber that I just thought hilarious, you know, because the moments in the first one that seems to be the highlight is him cutting a shark with a chainsaw. So that's become like the trademark money shot for all these films, isn't it? He has to have the shark, the chainsaw. He's given a golden chainsaw, you know, at the start, and then he's got a lightsaber also. So it's like he's become like this hero just because he uses a chainsaw, you know, to cut a shark up.
And Tara Reid's character April, she obviously had her hand bitten off, and she's got a prosthetic hand, but it also doubles as a buzz saw, like a circular saw. So he's got the chainsaw, and she's got the, you know, I would hate to accidentally scratch my nose with that. That's for sure.
Hell yeah.
And if you're a fan of our work, you can support us and buy me a coffee, or a film in this case. We're making a short film. Any donations kindly received. The link is in the description, but here's the information on screen. We're making a short film shot entirely on film, and it would be very, very helpful if you would send us some money. Thank you. And if you want to get in touch with us, here are the many ways you can do so. We're on Twitter or X, and it's @ChatSchmat. The same on Instagram at ChatSchmat, and we're also on Blue Sky. On Blue Sky, it's at chatschmat.bsky.social. And we've been on Facebook for a while, but we haven't really said anything about it. But here we are. It's facebook.com/chatschmat, so you can come along there. And finally, of course, as always, we're on email, and that is show@chatschmat.com. So please get in touch, and don't forget you can also comment on the videos as well.
They talk about using Star Wars, the laser, from the Reagan era, and the Hasselhoff's character was supposed to have worked on that, working in NASA. This is his first trip to space, actually, after all these years. So, Ian, with yourself then, where I know obviously we've already had the moment of the baby coming out of the shark and all that business, but aside from the traumatic
Did I
experience,
mention that yet?
yeah, aside from that,
Once or twice.
were there any other sort of performances or moments in that you actually liked that didn't traumatize you?
That didn't traumatize me. What about that? It's a very short scene, but you've got the brother of Finn and the vice president, is it? And they have to sort of use paintings on the wall to sort of surf past the sharks. I thought that was interesting. Just like a very short scene, but
yeah.
Speaking about that, there, I do have to laugh at the way the president was portrayed. Hey, but I'm gonna, get the. It was like, I thought Bill Pullman was a more gung-ho president.
Well, just thought about that. The Madam Vice President, she when Trump became president, she was one of the more prominent, Ann Coulter. That's her. She then fell out with Trump, but she's to say about that. There's a bit of sort of trivia about this. They originally approached Sarah Palin to be the president in this, and it was going along nicely, and the negotiations fell through. So they then approached Donald Trump, and Donald Trump agreed to do it, but he pulled out at the last minute to enter into the presidential race. So this movie is almost a historic movie, because you kind of think, well, if Donald Trump wasn't president, he could have been president in this movie, and all it would have been was him, being president for 10 minutes in a movie, killing some sharks, whereas he ended up becoming president for real and doing an awful lot of damage, conning an awful lot of people. So, whether you like him or voted for him or not, he's certainly a divisive figure. So it's probably better he wasn't in it. And then you have Anthony Weiner, who's a politician, and he plays the guy at NASA. And he obviously later on was famous for sending pictures of his wiener to people, and ended up, I think he did lose his job. I'm not quite sure exactly what happened after that, but it's funny to see him in this, various people in this. Of course, Jackie Collins, I looked it up there. This was her last film role, so she died. This was made in 2015, and she actually died in 2015, so I'm not sure how soon after that film role, she passed away, but it just shows you, like, everyone and anyone showed up in this.
We gotta get out of here.
You can't do that!
There's no time, Madam Vice President. Let's go. Come on. On three. Ready? 1, 2, 3.
Whose idea was the beast?
Mine. These storms are getting more frequent and they're growing in size. Someone's got to prepare for what's really coming. And we can't always assume that you're going to be the one that saves the day the next time the big one hits.
Oh yeah, so this is the answer?
Saved you, didn't it?
Hi there, thanks for stopping by. If you haven't done so already, please subscribe to the channel, because we're on a mission to get 1,000 subscribers. Helping us to do so will unlock features on the YouTube channel, including monetization. Doing so will support the channel and help us create more content, better content, and be able to do more. So, enjoy the rest of the episode, and don't forget, if you haven't subscribed, subscribe.
What do you think of the actual plot in this? Because I was saying earlier, it's not really directly linked to the first film, which the second one was. Everything was a direct correlation. Now there's some scenes which were, because we did get returning characters in this.
Nova.
Nova, that's it. The character of Nova. Cassie Servo, that's the name of the actress, and she's back from the first film. And we also have the daughter returning, but she is played by a different actress in this, because the original actress was involved in another movie at the time, Gem and the Holograms, which I believe was a terrible film. But anyway, she wasn't available, and so they recast in this. But the one thing I will note about this is that if you're a boyfriend or whatever of this family, you don't necessarily survive, in this, if you're because the Frankie Muntz character, he got eaten, and the other boyfriend that the daughter just met, he gets eaten as well. So, it's very dangerous to be around these people. But I just wondered, Joe, what did you think of the actual storyline in this? I mean, we end up in space, right? And that's the kind of reveal, isn't it? That the Hoff has worked in NASA. But to get to that point, we're in a theme park. It's Universal Studios who own, Sci-Fi Channel. So, and they had the Universal logo in this. So it was all like self-promotional. But what did you think of all that? Do you think it worked well, or was it just too stupid for words?
It's a bit of both for me. Obviously they knew they were going to space, and then they were kind of like, okay, we gotta keep that for the end, so we gotta build to this, So it was probably the writers in the room going, right, what shit can we throw together to get them to space, So no, I thought it had some pretty good set pieces. I did like when they get into the Universal, the actual the planet, the sphere, and it rolled. I thought that was
gladiators. You remember?
Yeah.
Sphere, and you were inside the sphere, and you had to run.
Yeah, it was cool. But no, I thought it was pretty good. Obviously they had to take the next step, and not having it be a direct sequel again. They kind of went, but they gotta move on a wee bit. So I thought it was fine.
They had to jump the shark, so to speak, literally.
Yeah, there you go.
They had the Beast, which was this sort of like RV type thing, with all the
very Mad Max.
Yeah, Mad Max, but also like chasing weather in it, and this is meant to be, indestructible, but they had all that and they driving around. It's a bit like some of the Bond cars, like it was very underused. You only saw it for a few minutes, and then that was it.
It couldn't. There was no access to a road because the bridge had been blown out. But they do make a point saying it's the safest place to be in a Sharknado. And you're we just seen it destroy the White House. How safe can that be? That fan be?
The only thing that'd be safer is if Bill Paxton was driving it.
But they made it. They said it's safer, but yet it got stopped at the first roadblock. So how safe really was it?
Yeah, it's not a James Bond super vehicle by any stretch.
No, we talked about the story, what little of it there was. There was a lot of James Bond, Mission Impossible, Bourne Identity stuff in the beginning when they're running and stuff. I thought that was pretty cool. But speaking of, what?
Even the partying the James Bond gun barrel.
Yes, at the beginning that was very good. So it was a lot of fun, that actually. So speaking of the production values and effects, and looking at the movies we've seen, just to double check, because I was actually able to get some info about the budget for this. 2.4 million.
Is that higher than the first two? Can you remember?
It's a bit higher, yes.
Okay.
The first couple of films were like 1.5 to 2 million.
Okay.
And then this one is like 2.4. So a little bit more money spent on it. But I mean, obviously they're in a kind of situation here where they don't want it to look too good, because if it looks too good, it takes away from the enjoyment of it being that sort of film. But with all that aside, I mean, what do you think of the effects in it, Ian?
As you say, I think that they purposely don't want the effects to look so great, so the sharks, still look very, quite frankly, fake. The blood splatter still looks very fake. Strangely enough, though, in this one, there was a few sort of shots of them standing around, almost composited into certain locations. Like, I think the White House was maybe behind them at one point or whatever. I thought that looked terrible.
I noticed that too.
There was a few really jarring shots. I mean, I expect the sharks and the actual special effects to look a bit bad, because I think that's really what they're going for anyway. But the composite shots,
it was very bad green screen. Yeah.
Yeah, there was a few of those in there, a bit like my background. I can't talk, but
Yeah, but it wasn't too. You didn't get 2.4 million for that, did you?
Can you pay me 2.4 million for this?
No, I'm saying nobody gave you 2.4 million.
No. I had to beg, borrow, and steal for this.
I don't think they were rendered perfectly. They don't have that texture. The sharks look very plastic. Maybe that's what they're going for. But obviously, it's like someone got the splatter effect from After Effects for every decapitation that the sharks do. For a low budget emulation of a action movie and for a sci-fi original, it's the kind of effect you expect to see on a sci-fi original. Kind of shit, but good at the same time.
I will say for myself, Frankie Muniz, if that's how you pronounce his surname, he his death scene, he got bit his limbs off one by one, and he was crawling along the top to press the button, and then he got his hand eaten, and then I thought he was going to use his nose, and then he uses his chin, boom, and then everything explodes. I thought that was a cool moment.
Because we were all shouting to the screen, use your nose or your chin, go on, you've got.
But then again, I was kind of think of the old Monty Python's bit moment, it's just a scratch. Oh, it's poor.
Yeah.
It's just a flesh wound.
Yeah. They were definitely leaning into that. That was his heroic moment. I thought his character actually was quite fun. He was just there.
It was.
He was obviously more into her than she was into him. As soon as Finn came along, she told him all the stuff, and he's like, no, that was supposed to be for us. That's our thing.
I was beginning to think, obviously the guy who plays Finn, he's not in the caliber of Tom Cruise when it comes to over the top stunts.
Well, this is Ian Ziering, who was in Beverly Hills 90210 in the 90s, so that's where he began.
Can I talk about the most realistic scene in the movie?
Go on, then. What was it?
They're in the fighter jet plane, it goes down in the water, and suddenly they're in their underwear coming up out of the water.
That was the kind of Chuck Norris moment, like 80s action movie.
Because it came out.
Like, Finn's got his top off, and Nova's pretty much down to her underwear. So she's sporting underwear with a machine gun around her. Yeah.
And speaking of which, there were some comical lines when she approached the soldier who was dying, and there were sharks coming towards them, and she had her gun, and she had mascara, and he was like saying, "You can't use mascara." And then she plopped them in and fired it out, and it did the job, and he couldn't believe it.
75 caliber mascara, I think was the term she used.
Yeah.
So that was Steph.
I'm out of bullets.
There's no time for makeup, man. Get out of here.
Trust me, they're real. 75 caliber mascara.
I don't think it's a Sharknado film without Finn yelling and jumping into a shark's mouth with a chainsaw and coming out the back end.
And she, as a character, she feels that the world is going to end because these Sharknadoes are getting worse and more frequent. Now she does say she does have PSD shark.
She said PTSD, post-traumatic shark
disorder.
Disorder. Yeah, that was another good line, wasn't it?
That was very good.
I think that's what you've got, Ian.
for the crazy chick with post-traumatic shark disorder.
Yes, I imagine Tara Reid gives birth in a shark.
Now, one thing I will say, not about the giving birth thing, but you see they spent millions. I was saying to this, when we were watching it and stuff. But NASA spent millions on the space program, and they have these pods for re-entry, and even the shuttle, coming back in the shuttle. They would have been better off just putting people inside a shark, and the shark will burn up in the atmosphere, and the person comes out with a chainsaw, perfectly safe. I mean,
they have a lot of money.
Not only did they come plummeting down in the Earth's atmosphere inside a shark undigested, but she also managed to take her clothes off, give birth,
cut the umbilical cord,
put her clothes right back on again, and cut her way out, putting the baby first. Inside the shark, plummeting to.
Well, they do say that women are better at multitasking than men.
How did you feel during the film, and then how did you feel afterwards? Because sometimes I think, when I see the film, I'm enjoying it, and then afterwards I kind of think, what did I just watch? So Joe, I mean, what was your thoughts going into this? Obviously, this is number 3.
Yeah.
Did it match up? Did it not?
Well, as I'd already said to you guys, I stopped watching after 2 because I was kind of like, right, okay. The first one, obviously, they knew it was a wink to the audience, But the more they announced that we're doing more, and I was kind of like, right, okay, you're just being ridiculous now. You've lost that kind of flair. But I have to admit, tonight when you said it was the third one, I was kind of like, right, okay, here we go. But once it started, and here's me, right, okay, do you know what? I'm just going to take it for what it is. And I just let my hair down, And again, with every set piece, I was kind of like, right, okay, that's actually quite enjoyable in a stupid way. But then once you got the we're going to space, it was like, right, okay, this is just, this is great, And then obviously with the lightsaber and stuff, So I have to admit, I did enjoy it a lot more than what I thought I was going to. And that's saying something. That is really saying something.
It was more of a journey for you, this one. Yeah.
It was. It really was. It was.
And Neil, what about yourself? Obviously we watched a few of these. Did you think it was going to be, meh, or was going to get worse, or do you think they're going to get better?
Well, I didn't know I'm going to have a good time because it's so ridiculous and hilarious, and it got more extreme. The whole idea that he's become a celebrity over killing sharks with chainsaws is hilarious, and the fact that he's very buddy with the president,
Yeah.
they're firing at sharks. That alone just made it hilarious, and even before they got into space, I'm just thinking, someone in the office in a boardroom, he said, well, why do we have sharks in a tornado? And I'm sure whatever, like, we're thinking, how did that go from sharks and tornadoes to space?
Is that much of a stretch, though?
Well, the thing is, what I was going to say was, they probably thought, at what point do we put them in space? I think that's probably the kind of conversation, judging by what they've done so far, they're probably thinking, how can we put them in space? And also, what about yourself, Ian? What were your sort of thoughts going in? Obviously, you didn't know you were going to see what you saw, but
yeah, I didn't know I was going to see Tara Reid give birth inside a shark. Nobody could have expected me to think that. I mean, right?
No.
I was looking forward to it because these are popular for a reason. They're just so stupid. They're fun, and it's a bit like, almost like Mission Impossible with Tom Cruise. Every movie he tries to up the stakes with the stunts and outdo the previous movie. Well, Sharknado does the same thing, only with the stupidity of the story and what happens. And they've certainly done that. Because to me, Sharknado 1 and 2 were very similar.
Mm-hmm.
And then this one is just turned up to 11.
Yeah.
Hail to the chief.
the fact that he can sense it now, he's got this kind of ability to sense an oncoming storm, should we say?
Yeah, you get this.
He's a
You get the
Sharknado
idea.
Jedi, you know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's you get the idea that he was like, you know, getting like a super sense. You know, the way Superman's got the super hearing, he's got the, you know,
Spider-Man Spidey sense.
the storm
Yeah, he can
predictability.
feel it and he can smell the sharks. Sort of.
Yeah.
I think he said. Yeah.
So that was interesting as well. Interesting, but also completely ridiculous. You know, but,
Yes.
but
Yes.
still, but they're leaning into that when they make him, you know, the sort of shark whisperer, you know, type thing. And that's essentially what he's become.
Yes.
But you know, I mean, let's be honest. Let's sum it up. You've got a husband and wife. They're separated, but they're interested in getting back together. They're having a baby. The wife has a buzzsaw for a hand. He carries around chainsaws. The daughter, anyone that she comes in contact gets eaten. You know, if you were to you know, hang about with these people, your life expectancy is very, very short. So you got to remember, like they had these whole scenes. Oh, you're, you know, Finn, you know, Sharknado guy, and all this kind of stuff. Yeah, fame comes at a price, doesn't it? He always talks about his family. There's his own dad stuck up in space. You know, I hope they bring him back. I can't remember if he's in the next one or not.
He is in the next one.
So
Can I
they're obviously
just
going to come away.
ask people's thoughts on the ending? You know, Tara Reid gives birth inside a shark. only to possibly get hit with a big bit of debris from the space shuttle as the credits roll. And the fans at the time were allowed to decide her fate. Was that right? Whether she'd come back or not?
Yes, it was a Twitter.
Yeah.
They made a comment about social media in it, but so between this and the next movie, the viewers got to decide whether she survives in that cliffhanger.
And if it was up to you, would she survive?
If it was up to me, yes, because she's got, you got to have the crew. You know, you got to have the crew. No, there was some tie-in merchandise. There was an Archie versus Sharknado comic, and
please tell me there was a golden.
I wish there was. I
chainsaw trophy.
The one thing there was it's the hashtag April lives or hashtag April dies was what you had to put on Twitter, and it was going to be revealed in Sharknado 4, which was announced during the making of this. Now there was a crossover promotional excuse me, a promotional trailer revealed Ian Ziering as Finn, also makes an appearance as Finn Shepard in Lavantula, which was on the 25th of July 2015, the Saturday after Sharknado 3's premiere. So this came out on the Wednesday, and then Lavantula came out on the Saturday. So and it says this indicates that it takes place in a shared universe, as he says he has shark problems right now. This may indicate the events of Lavantula take place just before or concurrent with Sharknado 3. Steve Guttenberg, the star of Lavantula, appears in Sharknado: The Fourth Awakens, reprising the role of Colton West in cameo. Michael Winslow also appears in both films, but as different characters. So that, yeah, because he's in this film, I wasn't sure if he was going to be in that. So that's why I thought, you know, for us, you know, if we watch them in order, it makes more sense if they're like a crossover. So that was interesting.
The Sharknado cinematic universe.
Well, that's it. I mean, if Marvel can do it, so can the Asylum and Sci-Fi. But yeah, so to me, you know, that's my thinking of it is, you know, it's this family, you know, they're a danger to be around, but they're heroes, and this movie leans into that. They're all heroes. They're all, you know, taking guns and shooting sharks, whatever weapons comes to hand. They're all he's best friends with the president. Thank God it wasn't Trump in this case. But
I mean, seriously, can you picture Trump going around and going, "Hey, buddy, I'm gonna shoot these"?
Well, as you mentioned, you know, he did talk about, you know, putting nukes in hurricanes to say that, you know, I obviously read the script for this and was wondering, you know, what was going on. But you know, because he can't separate fact from fiction sometimes, you know. But so yeah, that's my summary of this movie. But you know, just in a very few words, Neil, how would you summarize this movie to people?
Oh,
Sorry, do you want that time?
Listen, you've got all the time in the world, all the time in the world.
Just a complete zany fest, really.
And Joe, how would you summarize it?
I would summarize it as if you were like me and after the second one and then you heard there's going to be a third one, you were kind of like, God, they're really milking us now. But if you were willing to give it a chance like we did tonight, you know, I think you'll be really pleasantly surprised.
Ian, how would you summarize it?
Sharks meets James Bond, meets Star Wars, meets Moonraker. What more do you need?
There you go.
And as Hasselhoff said, sharks
in space.
Space.
I mean, there's no title. You do have to see what the Sharks events with Stephen Baldwin. I think you can see it as a romantic, well, not romantic, but you could have it's like a farce in a way because
it was slightly romantic because the two kids were on a date, if you like.
Yeah.
You know, and obviously he's having a child, and then there was the you know.
Well, it's like, I don't want to say it's a romantic thriller with sharks.
There's a little bit of everything in it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tara Reid gives birth inside a shark.
Okay,
I think that's the most succinct summary of it, really. Although it leaves out all the other stuff.
It seems to be a blending of genres, really.
Yeah. Oh, it is, and I think they did that in this film a little bit. But from what I can see, and obviously I haven't watched the others, they lean more into that. You know, so they become more sci-fi or whatever it happens to be. You know, but a very enjoyable adventure anyway. That's what I would say. And on that note, speaking of enjoyable adventures, I hope you've enjoyed our discussion on that today. We always welcome people to leave comments in the comments section and also to email us, which is show@chatschmat.com. If you send us some comments, and we'll reply to them. But it's one of those things, you know, you got to lean into these Sharknado films. The whole of Sharkfest is like that. We're trying to find the sweet spot of shark films. You know, the more dramatic, the less entertaining. You know, the too over the top is too much to take in. We're trying to find the middle ground for that, and I think we're doing it as we go along. But you know, from this episode of Sharkfest, it's goodbye from me.
And this is Neil shooting on.
And this is Ian shooting off.
You stole my line.
You better shoot some sharks then.
Yep. Thanks for having me, guys. And just remember, Tara Reid gives birth inside a shark.
Really? Yeah. I didn't know she did that in the film.
I was unaware of that, you know.
Yeah, I didn't know.
And Joe, it was good to have you on again.
Yes, thank you for having me. Always a pleasure.
Look at that. Promo. That's a professional right there.
Extra special guess my ass.
Yes, kiss.
But how did the sharks bring the space?
Are you asking? Do you want me to answer that?
There's a study being done. Not only how do they breathe, it's how do they maneuver towards people to eat them?
Yeah.
Just when you thought it was safe to go back into space.
Like you're an amateur, I've had to sit through all these shite movies and you just come on whenever you want.
I picked the good ones.
Yeah, that's it, isn't it?
Just do an extend
Do you want to Gotta cut the old.
Next time we have to think these things through.